All right, we are doing this and recording. Reverend Stretch Sanders, thank you for coming onto the show. I really appreciate you for responding when I reached out to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Power to the people.
Yes. I know you're a very busy man and you have to get on the road in a little bit. So we'll just dive into this in the beginning on who Reverend Stretch Sanders is. So can you give all the listeners some context of who you are, how you ended up in Vegas, and leading up to the historic 6,000 person event at Doolittle Park?
All right. So I definitely do not mind being called Reverend. People do call me Reverend, but I'm more known, and I do address myself personally as Minister Stretch Sanders. And I ended up in Las Vegas when I was 16. My mother moved my twin brother and I to Vegas simply for a better life. We had no idea that I would end up walking in the calling I'm walking in and being in a movement, and definitely not leading a movement. But it just showed that sometimes, just taking one step, other steps will unfold itself. And so from that point, I got older. When I was in college, my sophomore year in college, 2014, I started to see the rampant visuals of police killings, police terrorism. And I kept saying, what is Vegas doing? Where's Vegas at? I saw nothing. And I just kept searching. And by the time I started searching for different protests, I started finding movements, but it wasn't Black Lives Matter or Black issue related. It was the Fight for 15, which is the labor movement. I got involved on June 22nd, 2015 was my first protest, actual protest. And from that point, I was hooked. They asked me to speak, and I just freestyled top of my head, and I was hooked. And from that point, I started reading books. I started studying Dr. King. And I kind of was having like an identity crisis for a minute because I didn't know, should I be a minister? Should I be an activist? How do you navigate both? When I started reading the Bible, I realized that it's really the same. Not every activist is a minister, but every minister should be an activist. Unfortunately, we live in a world where a lot of these ministers have sold out. They are afraid to speak truth to power. They are basically contributing and participating in the oppression, white and Black, because they say things like Jesus doesn't see color, God made everybody, all lives matter to God, which is true, but on the other hand, realistically, it's not true. And so when I started reading about Black liberation theology and started studying Dr. King and other freedom fighters who used the church as a tool and a vehicle for social justice, my whole mentality changed. And then I started studying people who were not Christians, like Malcolm X and things like that. And so from that point in 2014, I started a group called All Shades United, which is the revolutionary solidarity organization for all races. And then from that point, I just took off. August 3rd, 2015, I hosted my first Black Lives Matter protest. It was for Sandra Bland. And here we are 5 years later, brother, still in the struggle, still moving, still grooving. My position is I believe that if we're going to change the conditions of the people, we got to get out there and change it, and we can't be afraid to change it because so many of us are so fearful. Being scared is one thing, but to be fearful is another thing, because when fear is in your mind, it stabilizes and it paralyzes your spirit. And so we wonder why people are not getting things done. That's because we're afraid to get it done. And so my philosophy is I don't beg nobody for anything. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. If I see that you were once asked and didn't do it, I'm going to do it myself. And so my ministry, my movement is about being active. I believe that preachers, religious leaders, even if you don't have a religion or believe in a particular religion, you should spend more time in the community than you do at home. You should make the community your home. Family time should also be giving back and serving, not just doing it seasonal, because we live in a world that makes us seasonal servants. The song says, give love on Christmas Day. I say give love every day. You give love on Christmas Day and give and hate the rest of the year. Christmas means nothing. And so you can't just give out turkeys on Thanksgiving and nothing else after that, toys on Christmas and nothing else after that. People need turkeys all year long. Kids need toys all year long. And so we have to get out of this seasonal thing. Even right now, people are protesting. But my question is this seasonal? Or is this permanent? Are people only doing this because celebrities have got involved and because politicians are discussing it, or is it genuine? And I'm not saying that's not my place, but I do hope and pray that this is something that's in us and we're not just doing it because it's the cool thing to do.
So I can tell from your speech and from the different things that you've done, you see the long-term view in this movement. And a few things that stuck out to me is just the way that you say all power to the people instead of power to the people. I noticed you refer to Black People Matter instead of Black Lives Matter because of how the media kind of casts on it. The event you organized is part one, leading and open, and the event that you organized was at Doolittle Park, which was very historic to ensure that there would be peaceful and it wouldn't there wouldn't be any backlash to where the media could portray it in the wrong light.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I believe that when we're trying to bring change, we have to play chess, not checkers. And everything we do should be strategic. Sometimes we may do things people may not understand. Why did they do it like that? Why did they do it like that? But you got to play a strategic type of way of organizing, because organizing is strategic in itself. See, you got to go from being a protester to an organizer, right? You got to go from being angry to an activist. You got to go from being full of rage to being full of revolutionary spirit. You got to evolve that, because if you just stay with the Black Lives Matter, when that's your energy, you're not going to know how to maneuver, and then you're reactionary. And you see people who are reactionary typically engage in some of the protests that people are kind of like condemning. For me personally, I don't condemn it because I believe that Dr. King said a riot is the language of the unheard, and America has failed to hear so many things, which has caused people to rise up in the way they feel they should do it.
Yeah, and this movement that's happening now, I noticed that it's very different from the past because you see a lot of races, a lot of groups becoming more active into this,
Mm-hmm.
and is the unfortunate death of George Floyd and how everything happened, and it's with the knee and the movement between like the NFL and like you're saying, a lot of famous people speaking out. Everybody wants to get involved because we know that this is something that's been going on for so long, and you even see, I think it was 21 countries who started movements. So the eyes is on the United States, and we need to make a stand. Everyone does, and so that we can get everyone onto this even playing field and eliminate it.
Right.
And so, just going into the beginning, there's a few terms I just wanted to define off the beginning, and these are terms that are thrown around all the time, which is systemic racism, institutional racism, police brutality, and depending on where you get your news, people seem to define this differently. And so, what do those terms mean to you?
Well, systemic racism is white supremacy, right? It's not an individual white person, but it's a collective body of white people who operate as racists, which make up the white supremacy system, which is systemic. It's long. It's not just about an individual killing somebody who's Black, like Ahmaud Arbery. It's years of oppression that's put into this box that control the banks, the hospitals, the schools, the media, all of it, the police departments, all of it has a common denominator, and that's racism. And it's controlled by the dominant group, which is white. That's systemic racism. For me, I don't ever say police brutality, because it's not. It's terrorism. It was never brutal. When they used to throw dogs on us and have the fire department put water hoses on us, it wasn't even brutal then, back in the '60s. And so we're in a state of terror. And so we have to use brutal terms for brutal realities, and we can't keep sugarcoating it, because when you say brutality, that sounds like a hurt elbow or a twisted ankle. But when you say terrorism, it heightens the mentality to say, wow, like that's true. Because when you look at what's going on and you see the mistreatment, the misconduct, and the violence, the state violence, you understand it's terror. And so those terms to me, basically, I think we have to use the right terms, because words are powerful. And if you downplay a word, then you downplay the situation. When you up the word, not over exaggerate, but when you up the word, then you up the reality, and you up the compassion that people have for the situation.
Right, like you were saying earlier, the long game is fighting mentally, and it's strategical. And the word terrorism, I think, it's a good term for it. And you see, like, through domestic terrorism with active shooters, where they never mislabel white shooters as domestic terrorism. It's always like a misunderstood individual, and they always cast the terrorism towards minorities, whether it's domestic or international. And so the battle is to define everything correctly and to understand, because systemic thinking rises through words, right? Like how we're taught, how we grow up, how we're raised, how we're taught through the schools. And so I think it is proper to label that.
I agree.
Yeah. And okay. And so with all the marches, and with, actually, let's just start with your organized event at Doolittle Park. Uh, how powerful was that to the community, and what do you think you gained towards your movement?
So history was definitely made at Kianga Isoke Palacio Park, which is now named that, formerly Doolittle. Kianga, for those that do not know, she was a pillar. She passed away from breast cancer a few years ago, and the African drummers that we had, her husband is actually one of the drummers, and they basically pulled together to have that park named after her. She was a true icon on the West Side. She was young too, but she did so much work. It meant so much to stand at a park which bears her name. And Doolittle itself, was a historic name, and that community is historic. And so it meant so much to make history in history, right? To make history on history land. And I have to be honest, I underestimated. I did not think we would get over 500, just realistically, just based off my experience of Vegas. People don't care. That's just the thoughts I had. People don't march. People don't get involved. Vegas ain't about that. And to see that people say, actually, we are. It had me. It was like, hold up, wait a minute, let me put something. Wait a minute. Like, people are seriously rising up. And what made it so impactful was the harmony of all the races, the harmony of the peace. People have been asking me, to do other protests, and I'm thinking on it. But part of me is like, I don't even want to touch a protest really, as far as me leading it, because I don't when that can't be redone. There's no other rally that can really top that. And so for me, it's like I just kind of want at this point support other things that's going on. But that was magic. Like, and sometimes with magic, it's just like when Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse, and when Michael Jackson came up with Billie Jean, like, and Quincy Jones produced Thriller. Some things are magic. You can't redo it. It's done, and when the people love it, it's like classic. And so, if that protest slash rally was an album, man, it went diamond. So you just can't top that. That is definitely the Thriller of protests, of rallies. That is definitely the Mickey Mouse of rallies. You just can't redo that. Some things, the Beatles, what I'm saying? Anything you could think of that's iconic, that rally represented that, and to see everybody, you had some people who were white ain't never raised their fists and said all power to the people, right? The pride and the esteem is being lifted, the spirit is being awakened. And you got Black folks who don't believe in themselves, who didn't believe in themselves, is out there saying power to the people, and I love being Black. That's powerful. And I know in my heart that people that came on that day, they left out better. Every person came to that rally, and they will never be the same. And from this point on, people will get in the communities, and they will start creating movements. We're making history. We're living in literally in a historic moment right now. And so my encouragement is like, let's up it, right? Let's not just stay there. Let's take it to the next level. Because if we stay there, then it's not gonna be as effective. But we have to figure out ways to up the ante. And upping the ante to me is getting a bill created. I have something I want them to create, which is called a police excessive force bill, basically stating if an officer uses excessive force and it kills a human being in the state of Nevada, Once it's proven, immediately that officer is charged, convicted, and arrested. If you could look at the tape and see that man saying, "I can't breathe," he should be arrested the next day. There is no 48 hours. There is no investigation. There is no administrative leave. It's an police excessive force bill that bans chokeholds, that bans sitting on our necks, that bans having us on the ground and we out of breath. These things have to be in that bill. And so I'm asking Governor Sisolak and the state leaders, you say Black Lives Matter, show me on paper, period. Because just holding hands and we shall overcome it means nothing. If you say Black Lives Matter, show me on paper and let's get it done.
Right. Yeah. We definitely need results from all of these actions, and it comes down to the policymakers to do this. And there's a few different routes that we can go, but I think policy reform is key. And in one of my last interviews I had spoken on, and it was with another white individual, and it felt awkward to have the conversation in just without somebody else there. But I'd spoke on if there was any sort of shooting through a police shooting, regardless of the race, that maybe there could be a review from an independent collective party of some sorts. But we do need change, and I see the disbanding or the defunding of the police, which just happened in Minneapolis, is a start, and now it's being reviewed in different cities as well. What are your thoughts on the defunding or disbanding?
So the defunding is important. My mama always said this to me. When you want to bring change and wake people up, hit them in their pockets, period. I think every police officer should take a pay cut. I think every police officer should have retirement pullback. It has to be like that. Because I tell people like this, if we don't make drastic changes as a people the right way, people will make drastic changes as a people the wrong way. And what God has showed me is that if we don't make drastic changes the right way now, people will, when I say rise up, I ain't talking about protesting. People will start killing police officers. And I say that with urgency because I don't want to see that. But I'm telling you, a war will be declared. People are not playing. And when people are when a police officer pulls you over, people are in fear. Am I going to be George Floyd? Am I going to make it home? Is this the officer that tear gassed me at the protest and he's not going to take his anger out on me? People are terrified of all races. And so what my thing is at this point, do whatever you can do that's drastic the right way before folks rise up and do something drastic the wrong way. And I'm telling you, it's coming. We can stop it. We can prevent it. The fire was put out with injustice. It can be put out. It was started with injustice. It can be put out with justice. It's just a matter of people being willing to do it. So I don't care about the officers kneeling with us. I don't care about the officers trying to march with us. You can kneel and march all day long. That's a symbol. The substance is start completely cleaning out and abolishing that department the way it is. Change policing forever. And part of that is if they're willing to be defunded and accept that as a consequence, then that will speak volumes. If they fight against it with these Blue Lives Matter protests, which are crazy to me, right? That's just like when the October 1st shooting happened, if somebody would have had a rally for the brother that did it, right? Like that's not even right. It's not even sane. And so my plea to Nevada and in the country is you do it your way and do it right, people are gonna do it their way and do it wrong.
Yep.
Choice is yours.
Yeah, we just saw New York. I believe they slashed the police budget from $6 billion down to $5 billion, and that budget's insane. And I saw an interview where people were asking like, what happens when you take that much money away? And basically, police, they have these high budgets and they buy these like militarized vehicles, and they'd never put any of their money into training. It was like a very small amount in the single digits of the amount of money they actually pour into training. And even in the training itself, it's like 25% of that or 10% of that, somewhere in that range, is a de-escalation training, which I think should be a priority, because the de-escalation, the process is broken.
Yeah, I agree.
It's,
I agree. And I think that that's a good sign. First of all, the NYPD is one of the most notorious, brutal, cold-hearted, terroristic, I mean, just hardcore, bad to the bone police departments in the world. It's been proven. And after that, the LAPD, and after that, the Chicago PD, and it just goes on from there. But the NYPD has always been known to shoot first and ask questions later. And so they need to be cut first. And at that point, cut them all. Because I'm telling you, you can cut the budget, or people are going to cut your life. And I say this, not putting out any ideas. I'm 100% against it. I don't believe that life should be taken on either side. But what I'm saying is, I don't think the police understand how serious this is. They think this is a game. When I talk to officers, they make excuses. They dance around the question. They refuse to take accountability. And it's like, okay, keep playing. Keep playing. People are not playing. People fear the police, but they fear the police out of being terrified. And a scared person will kill you first. When somebody is scared of you, they'll shoot you, right? When somebody thinks that you're going to hurt them first, they'll hurt you. So you don't want people to be afraid of the police, because they do something out of fear. So I'm asking the police and the governor to get behind change. Because if you don't, all hell gonna break loose.
Agreed. There's two things within the police, I guess just the scope, that I think need to seriously be looked at, is police unions, where I saw that 25% of the police officers who were involved in shootings ended up getting their job back through the police unions, and the police unions are just supposed to defend these people regardless of their actions. And qualified immunity is something that I had just learned of recently, which basically gives the officer immunity from people suing them and holding them liable for their actions. So, and I did see that qualified immunity there's a bill that's been proposed to eliminate it in the Supreme Court within the justices, and there is a conservative judge that's on board as well. So I think if we take those two steps, as well as defunding, then we can have some change, at least a start.
I agree. I agree. And that's just one of the ways, right? Part of it is education. Like you said, terms, teaching people about police terrorism, and understanding this. Police terrorism is not about your good uncle who's a cop or your brother. Police terrorism is a systemic issue. It's cops as a whole. I'm a son of a police officer. People don't understand that. My father's a retired CPD cop. He knows how I feel. I don't care about you being a good cop as a person. And like I told my father, I don't know the cop you was when you had that uniform on. I can't speak for Officer Davis. I can speak for Terrence. So my thing is, stop making it about you. I'm a good cop. I'm in my community. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. We care about the fact that your colleagues are smoking us and getting away with it. I don't care about you as an individual. Because if you claim to be a good cop and you quiet and you afraid to hold people accountable, you just like the others. Dr. King said there comes a time where silence of your friends is betrayal. So if you say you the good cop, I don't care that you're teaching tennis to the kids in the ghetto. I don't care that you're giving them hamburgers and hot dogs. I don't care about you doing a backpack drive in August. What I care about the fact is, are you going to be courageous enough, man enough, woman enough to hold other officers accountable and to break that code of silence when they kill us and you know they're in the wrong? That's what I care about. So when we say, police terrorism, we hold cops accountable, we talk about the masses. We don't care about you as an individual. Yeah, we know you got a family. We know you got kids. But we care about the fact that y'all can do whatever y'all want. Y'all have the power to literally take us off this earth on camera, and nobody cares. That officer sat on George Floyd for 5 minutes, like if he was riding a pony at a petting zoo, and nobody cared. They stood there. They watched him. They laughed. They taunted, almost like, Back in the day when black folks used to be put in zoos, and what was the situation? We was put in zoos, and they would just watch us. It was real big in Australia and places like that, where they would just watch us and poke at us and laugh at us. That's what you see now. Big group of officers just standing there, just watching, laughing, no empathy. And you ask yourself, if this would have been a white man, would that have happened? And the answer is absolutely not. Because the reality is black life does not matter in this country. Black life does not have value in this country. We can throw a ball for white folks, we can sing for white folks, we can dance for white folks, but white people will never look at us as their equal until something in the mind starts to click. And that's why the education is important. Because when you educate by breaking it down, the compassion can start. But they have to first understand, don't make it about you as a white person. A lot of white people have this guilt. They feel guilty about what happened to us, and they fear that if black folks ever come to power, we will do to them as they done to us. And that's never been the mentality of black folks. We never said we want to hurt cops. We never said we want to hurt white people. We just say leave us the hell alone. That's always been our plea. So we have to understand that it's a systemic issue. It's about the masses. The masses of police, to me, are not right. The masses of white folks, to me, are not right. People may not like that, but it is what it is, because it's a systemic issue. And that's what we have to change. The systems of policing, the systems of racism. I don't care about your good uncle. I don't care about your cool white best friend. I care about the systemic problems that's happening in communities of color.
Right. And so the main oppressors over the last, we'll say, 4 centuries has been white males in the majority. And like you're saying that there were white males that were at your rally. And so my question is, how do white males like myself, how do we contribute to the movement without putting our words in your mouth, which was the main issue in the beginning and how we got into this situation?
Well, I would say that we contribute to the movement by first, when it comes to being an ally, you have to first understand something. As a white male, because even though you say white males, I also say white women. You know, I know we like to let white women off the hook, but you know how many white women got black men arrested and killed because they said he raped me? You know how many white women got black men killed and arrested and lynched because they were messing with the white man and the husband found out, so they pulled the rape card? They literally burned down the whole black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because the white woman said a black man attacked her. Same thing with Rosewood. So we can't just say black men or white males, white women too. The white people as a race have oppressed us for 4 centuries. And I would say to that demographic, we need you. We didn't start this fight, so we shouldn't be fighting alone. But we need you to come in, not trying to play victim. We don't have time to play the victim game and the guilt game. Hell, it's wrong. Your people started it. Help us end it. We need solidarity movements. We need to come together. We need to unify. But we can't unify if I'm telling you my shoulder hurt and you talking about your wrist hurt, and I look at your wrist, and not only is it not hurting, but why are you bringing up you hurt when I'm saying I'm hurt? You never mentioned you was hurt until I said something. Then when I do check you out, you ain't even hurt, but you twice as healed. And so we have to stop playing the tip attack game as white people. And cops. I've had cops tell me, well, you know, black people do this. So it's like, hold on. We're talking about police terrorism. I'm not talking about what we're doing. Yeah, we know that black people kill each other, but every race kills each other. Ain't no black on black crime. Black on black crime is a product of white supremacy. They put us in these conditions to kill ourselves. They gave us the alcohol, the drugs, the crime. They gave us that. This is why when you go on the west side where Doolittle is, you didn't see a gym. You didn't see a Whole Foods. You didn't even see a Walmart. But you saw Taco Bell. You saw a liquor store. That's by design. And so my message to the white family is, we need you on board. We need you to get involved in this fight, but we need you to do it the right way. When you get in this fight, don't get in trying to guilt us into empathizing with you. A. B, don't get in trying to hijack and take over. I've saw protests where you got white people leading the charge. That's not your place. You're an ally. We're not the same. I need you to support, not take over. And if we do that and we come together, when you see black and white coming together, it's powerful. And that's what they don't want. They fear that unity. But we can do it. We did it on Friday. We have to continue to do it. It has to be a lifestyle, not a Friday evening special or something we do because it's popular to do it. Where will the white allies be 6 months from now? That's the question I'm asking to every white person. And I hope that they answer, I'll be right there with you, Minister Stretch.
Yes, very, very well put. It's all about education, holding each other accountable, changing your fellow members' way of thinking. If they say something that's very indirect or very hurtful, you need to help them out, because some white people, they don't realize that they have had this privilege, or that they've been the oppressor, and it's a way of thinking, a way of taught. So I'm just speaking out to everyone else who's white or is in a position of power, to be able to hold your voice for calling people out. And one of my previous interviews, I talked about, I grew up on the East Side, and in the classroom in high school all the time, I would see white teachers calling out Black students for terrible grades, or just something that just is not necessary. And then that causes animosity in the classroom, anxiety, and then the student has resent, and then maybe because of that, the student doesn't show up to the classroom anymore because he doesn't feel protected, which therefore hurts his grades, and it feeds right back into that institutional racism again. So we have to be able to, hold those hurtful comments, realize if things aren't necessary, don't say them, hold your friends accountable, and be able to educate.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I would add to that, and I would say that hold your friends accountable, but hold yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many of us turn a blind eye to racism, turn a blind eye to police terrorism? I'm tired of seeing videos where everybody's phone is out. I'm not saying intervene in a physical way, but I'm saying let that officer know, hey, what you're doing is wrong. Get off of him. When they say back up, no, I'm not backing up. Get off of him. Because when you get closer, he'll get up, right? Things like that. So many of us have saw so many things. I got to the point where when I see a Black person pulled over, I stop. Because to me, not on my watch. And if that puts me in danger, so be it. But we have to get to that point. And white people do it all the time. If you see a Black person, don't keep driving. You obviously, hey, it may be a drug bust. You don't know. But at the same token, you do know that no matter what that person did, this officer does not have the right to take their life. I'm against the death penalty. I'm against stuff like that. Nobody has the moral right. A country which has slaughtered Native Americans, killed, lynched, abused millions of Africans have no right, any state, to take somebody's life through the death penalty. So I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I believe in the fact that people need to understand that we as a community, we have so much power if we utilize it. So hold yourself accountable. And part of that accountability is courage, right? When you have courage, you have confidence. Many of us don't have confidence, and we're not confident in standing up is because we're cowardly. And that's okay. Part of holding yourself accountable is acknowledging the fact that you need to be strong and realizing that this may be dangerous. You may lose your life. But as the old saying goes, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And if we understand that, that will change this nation for history, for years to come. No more being silent. So don't be so quick to hold folks accountable. Hold yourself accountable. When you're born into a country like America, which is a patriarchal country, right? It's naturally patriarchal. It's naturally homophobic. It's naturally racist. It's naturally sexist, which means any of those groups, the complete opposite can be, right? So if you're a man, you're naturally going to be born sexist. If you're heterosexual, you're naturally going to have some homosexual thoughts at some time. If you're not white, you're naturally going to be racist at some point. And you have to get to a point where you realize, oh my God, like that was racist. You may not even announce it. If you announce it to yourself, that's okay. Change it. Everybody's not racist out of a KKK heart and they just hate and want to kill people. Some people are racist through ignorance, right? You see a Black person in a neighborhood, you assume that if they drive in the Benz in a white neighborhood, they're a dope dealer. Now realize this person is a financial banker. This person is an accountant. This person is a doctor. Oh, we have black doctors? Absolutely, right? Black people created medicine, even though y'all lied and said people in Greece and Greek created it. But no, Africans created medicine in Kemet, which is now called Egypt. And so education is important, but also understanding too that we can change this thing just by having conversations like this. When you know better, you do better. Many don't know better. Everybody's not racist just because of our hateful heart. People have ignorant tendencies. And so everybody's not homophobic. Gay people, you may not realize that's actually pretty homophobic, to even say the word gay with so much animosity. He's gay, or make a joke about it, right? So many guys in the locker room, they still call other guys fags, right? I stopped saying that when I realized it was offensive to that community. I'm from Chicago, big Black Hawks supporter, right? When I realized the Native Americans do not like the fact that their people and tribes and chiefs are mascots, I threw out every Black Hawks hat I had.
Yeah.
I will never own a Jeep Mustang or a Jeep Cherokee or any of that. So to me, it's things like that, right? Like, there's so many ways we can have solidarity. Am I Native American? No. But Native Americans are my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, I 100% wholeheartedly agree. It comes from within ourselves, our mindset and our words, and holding each other accountable. And outside of words, one thing I've noticed is some of the symbolic statues that have been taken down and that have been oppressive over the time, the Confederate monuments, and the Marines just banned the Confederate flag. And I'm just curious on what are your thoughts on the symbolical oppressive monuments that are being taken down, and are there anything else that's a symbolical oppressive monument outside of the Confederacy that needs to be viewed at?
Well, the national anthem, for one. The national anthem was created by I think he was a slave owner. And if you listen to the full anthem, it's 100% against Black people, right? Even, certain presidency days and celebrating George Washington, who was an indeed slave owner. I understand for white people, this is a culture shock because they love Robert Lee. They love their heroes. They don't realize that their heroes were horrible people. You wouldn't celebrate Charles Manson. You wouldn't celebrate uh, uh, Jeffrey Dahmer and all these other serial killers and serial molesters and rapers. So why are we celebrating people who literally raped, abused, and hung and owned people? And so it's not just about the symbol of statues. It's the symbol of holidays. It's the symbol of certain buildings. They literally have an FBI building named after J. Edgar Hoover, right? And J. Edgar Hoover literally he despised African Americans. He literally said his job and goal was to kill the Black Messiah. He killed King, he killed Malcolm, he killed Chairman Fred Hampton with the Black Panther Party. He was on a mission along with Richard Nixon. And so we have to understand that, like, it ain't just about the statues of old. We have statues of now that are named after racist people who literally despised our people. So if we're going to change America and change the course of America, everything has to be redone. And I understand for white people and some Black people who are super patriotic, it's a culture shock. But why can't we create a new anthem that speaks to all races? America is not just about white people. That's why you never hear them say white American. They say African American, Mexican American, Asian American, Caucasian. What is that? Why can't it be a European American like they are? If I'm an African American, you're European American. But they don't say that because guess who's the real American? White folks. And what everybody else? A guess. No. There are people here before white people got here. Before white people were on the planet, African folks were here. And so we have to understand it's bigger than just, and that's how you flesh out racism, is the history, right? Tell the truth. There are social study books that are calling slaves indentured servants. No. It wasn't a indentured servant. We was a slave. We were held against our will. We were shackled and bound down for 400 plus years. So if we're going to redo the country and change the country, we have to unravel and open up the closet and pull the skeletons out. That's why when Trump said, "Make America Great Again," it was so shocking. What do you mean, make America great again? At what point was America great? America has never been great for Black people. It's been off the chain and evil since day one. So little things like that, you know. If you remember, Ronald Reagan had a similar slogan when he ran about "Make America Great" or something like that. So we have to redo that. We have to redo everything. And it reminds me about when Bill Clinton came out when Hillary was running and said that he was sorry for the 3 strikes and all that. But it's like, it's too late, right? Like, you're sorry, but look at the damage that's done. And you're sorry, but they didn't release the prisoners. So you saying you're sorry at an NAACP banquet, that's a symbol. I'm tired of symbols. I'm tired of seeing people march with us and kneel with us and no substance is being done. Give us some substance. And if you give us substance, and substance is not just taking down the statues, but it's the statutes, it's the laws, it's the policies. That's how you bring change. I could snatch down Robert E. Lee all day long, but if there's no laws in that state, you know, you got descendants of Robert E. Lee who may be on the police force. If there's no laws that's changing how the other Robert E. Lees operate as police officers, then bringing that statue down is irrelevant. But does it need to come down? Absolutely. You know, I wish we had a statue here I could be trying to snatch down. I'd be leading the charge. I'd be pulling it, dancing on it. But that's what it's about. You know, bring them down, and don't just bring the statues down physically, but bring them down mentally, spiritually. You know, bring down the statues in your mind, right? We have statues of racism in our minds and ideology that shouldn't be there, that's standing strong. Snatch down those statues. You know, we got to get rid of the demons within and then the demons without.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset, and there's so many different areas that need change. The literature books, like you said, the monuments, the national anthem, which is something that we sang in schools for 12 years. And so I'm trying to think of immediate actions that can be taken. And something I see a lot is supporting your Black communities, your local Black restaurants, barbershops, hiring Black members to the team if you're in a position of power to be able to do that. What are your thoughts and opinions on supporting local Black businesses?
Oh man, that's my ministry. You know, that's my ministry, is uplifting, supporting, organizing with Black folks. Black people have to save Black people. I don't mean we don't need help in allyship, but we have to understand part of that is building up our communities. That's number one, right? When you do that, things change. You have to start building up the Black community. It's a must. It's not an option. And so I think that part of that is the economic piece. Absolutely. You know, my organization, New Era Las Vegas, part of our main mission is supporting Black businesses. And I stop calling them small. You know, why put a size on it? Don't support small businesses, support businesses, support Black businesses. You know, it doesn't be small. Everybody doesn't desire to have a warehouse or a Walmart. Some folks are content with mom and pop. Those are the best businesses. You know, in the Black community, the mom and pop stores, the owners knew you, they were friendly. You know, if your mother didn't have enough money for groceries, they would give you free groceries. I miss the mom and pop atmosphere. You know, we need to go back to those days, right? When the owner passed on, his grandson took over, or his son took over. You know, that type of stuff. That's when, you know, that's community to me. So I miss those days. So that's what Black businesses mean to me. I think of the mom and pop. You know, get back to those days, you know, where two brothers own the store together, or a brother and a man and his wife, you know, things like that. So we need to get back to supporting Black businesses. And I would say to white people, if you want to do that, that's what it's about. You need to, hey, put your money where your mouth is. If Black Lives Matter, write a check, you know, and let's sow it that way, right? Because economically, white people are more successful because of the fact that they're benefiting from years of our free work and free labor, you know. So that's why it bothers me so much when other races say, my uncle, my granddaddy, my mother came here with nothing and she built. Yeah, no, she didn't. No, she did not. She came here with something. Are you insane? When she came here, there were people who were Oh my gosh, I could talk about this so much. People say she came here and worked her way up. First of all, she came here on land that Native Americans had already owned. She came here on land that Black folks literally put blood, sweat, and tears in. So when they say Hispanics will do jobs Black people don't want, are y'all forgetting we did those jobs before a Hispanic was even in America on certain parts of territory? I'm not saying that because at one point in time, New Mexico, Nevada, California, that was Mexican territory. But the territories that was not Mexico, Black folks was working like a slave, literally. So don't sit there and say your people came here with nothing. No, they didn't. They came here with something. They came here on a foundation that was set for us. We didn't get the credit for it, right? Like they call Elvis the king of rock and roll when the real king was Little Richard and the real king was Chuck Berry. So, but you would say, Elvis is the king. No, the history has to be set straight. Your people came here with a foundation. They came here after years of labor that was stolen from us for free. So don't come here and that's why I think we get such a hard time from other races is they feel like we're ungrateful. We come here and we make it happen and we bought a business. Yeah, they're gonna give you that. They're not gonna give us that. That's why we worked for free for 400 years. So if Black folks want to be lazy, we have a right to be lazy after doing it for free 400 years, and we're not lazy. And so the reality is, we need to get a history lesson and understand that you didn't come here with nothing. You came here on the foundation. We paved the way. We were the first race to come here, rather by choice or force. We was the first ones to come here. That did something worthwhile. People have to remember that. And so when you open up a business as a Korean merchant, just understand that blood and that your business stands on, it's running through my veins. That tree that's next to your business, my granddaddy was once hung on it. So don't come in thinking that you're doing us a favor because we built this country. America wouldn't be nothing without Black people. We influence every culture. Every race has copied, borrowed, stole, mimicked, whatever you want to call it, from Black folks. You go to Japan right now, they wearing braids to the back. They wearing cornrows. I saw white guys with earrings and piercings. We did that first. So understand that not only do we build this country, we built the culture. Everything that's worth using in civilization, from the TV, from the light posts, from the stoplight, everything, from peanut butter, Black folks created, from math to science. So understand that. So when you sit there and say your people came here with nothing and they built, no, your people came here and used products that we made and didn't give credit for. Yeah, your granddaddy started a cell phone company, but who made the cell phone? My granddaddy. And your granddaddy stole it and got credit. So understand that. It's bigger than that. And I think that's why Black life doesn't matter, because we don't even want to value the contributions we've made. We get killed and we get our inventions and our history killed from us and stolen from us. So I want to see America tell the truth. I want to see America be honest. And I think that when we do that, we'll fall in love with each other. I do believe in the beloved community. I do believe in all shades united. I can see it. I believe it. I saw it Friday night. I know we can live in harmony. But falsehood can't be in the same room with truth. It's either going to be falsehood or it's going to be truth. And so you can't put two together. We got to have truth and put down lies and put down falsehood and put down dishonesty. And let's be real with this thing. As a white person, did you own a slave personally? No. But do you benefit from the system of privilege, which was a part of the slavery system? Absolutely. Is your brother, as a cop, did he probably sit on George Floyd? Probably not. Has he probably ever even pulled a gun out on somebody? Probably not. It's officers who've never had to pull their gun out. That's cool. But do you have colleagues, and is your system that pay you, the system that pays you, the badge that you stand with, does that represent a system of oppression? Absolutely. So don't make it personal. It's not personal. It's revolution. And if we're going to build a revolution, we have to understand that. Sometimes the truth hurts. I hear, as a minister, I hear people, express to me what turned them off to Christianity. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But the reality is there are plenty of religious leaders who've abused their power. Look at the Catholic Church. So many cases. Even in the Black church, preachers who are sleeping with multiple women, preachers who have molested little girls, and If you sleep with me, God will give you heaven. All type of stories people have used religion to do harm. Does that make me uncomfortable? Absolutely. But uncomfortable conversations is how you bring change. Am I that preacher that they talk about when they say preachers are molesting and raping? And absolutely not. I'm not that preacher. I'm not that preacher. So why should I get offended? But what I want to be is that preacher to show them that there are preachers who do care about the community. There are preachers who are not running around on their wives and abusing children and taking advantage of the community. If I'm the only one, which I'm not, I'll be that only one. So if you say that as a cop, you're not the bad cop, then show us. Don't tell us. If you say as a white person that you're not racist, don't tell us, show us. And that's what it's about. And if we do that and take on that mentality, we'll change the world. Don't make it personal. Don't take it personal. Just take it as a revolution and go from there.
Wow, that was very powerful. It gave me chills, and also thank you for calling me out and saying small businesses. That was something that I don't even realize that I do. So being aware of that kind of a situation is very commendable. And I know you have to get out of here very soon. So I always end the show on 2 questions. And so the first question is, the year is 2030. Where do you see yourself at and the movement?
2030, I
Yes.
see the movement, man, really progressing. I have hope. I have a lot of hope in the people that we can change things. I do see the movement being really technology based, where like digital rallies and digital protests and things like that, but they'll still be effective. I do see the movement changing a lot of young people, because before 2012, from really the early 90s to 2012, there was no real movements. From 2012 on, it's been a consistent movement. And so I think it's going to continue. The fire's too strong to go out now. And so I see the movement continuing. I do see a lot of laws changing. I do see a lot of people changing. I do see more activists rising up. As far as myself, I see myself still doing what I'm doing, you know, just on a different level. It may not look how I'm doing it now, but I see myself still being with the people, still being among the people, serving and trying to bring change.
I respect that. And last question is, what does Las Vegas mean to you?
Las Vegas, to me, it means diversity. It means a party city, but also a city that's hungry for a revolutionary party. It means a city to me that is so plagued with the Sin City image, but people are also trying to change it to a Win City image. And so I see Las Vegas as a city that is on its way. It's a newer city. It's always evolving, because people didn't move to Las Vegas to be a part of movements and be a part of struggles. People move to Las Vegas to get a job, buy a home, work on the strip, and live a good life. But I see that changing. I see us becoming more of a city like Chicago or a city like LA that's industrial, that's not just about gambling and tourism, but also it's about, building and residential and neighborhoods and schools and kids and fun. So to me, I think that Las Vegas is a city that's on its way for revolution. Leaders are rising up, people are rising up, and I'm just honored really to just be a part of it, to just be among the people who are bringing change in the community. And so I think we on our way. We on our way.
Yeah, yes, we are. That you're actually the first person to say diversity to that question. So there's a new one, but it's very true. We always say that Vegas is the melting pot and that it's growing, and there are multiple movements, and I've had multiple people on here for different movements. So Stretch, I thank you, Stretch Sanders. I thank you for coming on so much. Where can everyone get connected with you and all of your affiliates?
Well, thank you so much, Jake. I'm honored. I'm extremely honored to be on. People can go to Facebook at Stretch Sanders. They can also go to Instagram at _official_stretch. And then Twitter is just at Minister Stretch. And please connect with me, because I truly want us to take this thing to the next level. We have to do it together. I understand that some of the things I said may have offended some people, and I would just leave you with this: take the meat and leave the bone.
Very, very well put. Thank you, Stretch. I wish you luck for everything. You will hear from me again. And
Awesome.
thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, sir.